Hi guys. My old blog got deleted sadly, so I'm re-uploading my story onto here. I'm not kidding with any of you when I say that I found this animation on a cartoon streaming website. If you don't believe me, I saved some screenshots. I was looking for free episodes to watch since I didn't have Macs. Thankfully, I had an antivirus, so no viruses were going to infect my computer just by downloading episodes. That's for sure. I then asked one of my friends where I could download free Ed and Eddy episodes. Hey, just wanted to ask you if there are any other websites that stream cartoons. All the other sites I downloaded episodes didn't let the files load onto my computer for some reason. He responded with, "Don't worry, I found a website called Funny Cartoons Online, and when I tried it, they loaded onto my files safely." He then sent me a link to the website. When I clicked on it, the top of the screen had famous cartoon characters. They were all poorly drawn, possibly in MS Paint. Their colors were all gradients, with some of them being colored wrong, with Twilight Sparkle from Friendship is Magic being white with a pink mane, and Tender Heart Bear from Care Bears being baby blue instead of brown. Another strange thing was that there was no logo, just cartoon characters. Looks fishy, but whatever. I had an antivirus with me, and my friend said this place could let me download episodes. I started contemplating about downloading from here. What if this website won't let the episodes be downloaded into my files like the other websites? I thought, screw it. Well, give it a try. And searched up Ed, Ed, and Eddy in the search bar. When I was scrolling through the list of episodes, I saw something that caught my eye. There was an episode called Season 6, Episode 2, Fall of an Ed. Seems odd. Wasn't there only one episode for Season 6 or something? Maybe this was a fan animation. I was proven right as soon as I clicked the video. As the intro started, I noticed something. Double D's pupils were gone. Strange, this was definitely something made by a fan. At the end of the intro, Double D started to laugh maniacally as Ed and Eddy looked at him confused. I paused the video. Why would someone steal someone else's parody they probably worked on for days? I kind of feel bad for them, having all their hard work stolen just like that. I unpaused the video. I was wanting to see who made it so I can tell them that a website with possibly tons of malware stole their animation. The title card consisted of a doctor, covered in blood, putting on a purple glove with the title reading, Fall of an Ed, in red letters. I was really impressed. The title card had the same look as one you would see in any normal episode. The person who made this definitely put tons of effort into it. It then faded to black for 2 seconds, until green words in a slimy font appeared on screen. So the person who made this was called Color Me Green 123? Interesting. I'm gonna tell them that some scummy website stole their project if I ever find them when this video is over. After the title card, it faded out to show the cul-de-sac with Ed and Eddy walking around looking for Double D. The animation was really good. It definitely emulated the season 5 to 6 animation style very well, to the point it looked like an episode from season 5. Socket! Socket! Where the heck are you? Eddy yelled furiously. We have suckers to scam! Ed started to get scared. Oh no! What if aliens took Double D and put him into a giant vaporizer to destroy the world? Ed yelled. Ed began to run around in circles, yelling about aliens while Eddie looked upon the situation with a grumpy look on his face. Eddie grabbed Ed's neck and slapped him across the face 3 times comedically. "Shut up, Lumpy! We'll find Sockhead and start scamming some suckers in no time." Ed smiled. "Okie dokie, Eddie," he said. They then saw Kevin riding his bike to Naz's house. "And we're gonna get plenty of cash from Shovel Chin," Eddie said greedily. The 2 Eds ran towards Kevin, thinking that they could get some money from him. "Hey, Just before Eddie could finish his sentence, Kevin interrupted him. "No, dorks! I ain't giving you money," he said. Eddie was angered by this. But before he can say something else, Kevin drove off. "Oh, you've gotta be kidding me! Who are we gonna scam now?" Eddie then paused and thought for a moment. "Johnny!" Eddie shouted, getting an idea that he and Ed can scam him. "Come on, Lumpy! Let's go get some cash from Johnny Boy!" "Okie dokie, Eddie," Ed said, happily. It then fades to Eddie's bedroom, with Double D holding 2 syringes. He was wearing a lab coat with some purple gloves instead of his signature orange shirt. "Now, boys, this experiment will leave you a bit lightheaded and hungry for flesh. You might also vomit some blood and cause you to become, well, cannibalistic," he mumbled. He then looked to the left, which showed Rolf and Jimmy sitting on Eddie's bed. "So, are you ready, gentlemen?" Double D said, softly. They nodded with blank looks on their faces. Strange. Why would they agree to something that would probably put everyone and themselves in danger? Plus, if Color Me Green 123 was such a big fan of Ed, Edd and Eddy, they would have gotten Rolf and Jimmy's personalities right. Double D then rubbed alcohol swab on their shoulders and injected the liquid from the syringes into them. Rolf and Jimmy's eyes widened before becoming more relaxed. They formed soft smiles on their faces. They then left Eddie's house as Double D waved goodbye. It then cut to Jimmy stumbling to Sarah and Ed's house, mumbling to himself, "Sleepy! Sarah!" Jimmy then fell down in front of the door and gently knocked on it. When Sarah came to the door, she gasped. "Oh my God! Jimmy! What happened to you?" she exclaimed in horror. It's experiment," Jimmy mumbled. Sarah picked him up and ran into the house. "Don't worry, Jimmy. I'll get you help," she said, trying to crack a smile, even though her eyes said something different. Jimmy was then seen lying in Sarah's bed, now with a bandage on his shoulder, giggling and mumbling. Sarah then came in with a glass of water. Jimmy? Why were you laying on the ground and giggling? And why the heck was there a tiny hole in your shoulder? Just what the heck happened?" she asked, concerned. Before Jimmy could reply, he started to gag. "Sick," I managed to say. Sarah's eyes widened and she ran out of the room, and quickly came back into the room with a trash can. "If I find out who did this, I'm gonna—" She paused mid-sentence when she saw Jimmy's vomit in the trash can. Sarah's face grew pale when she saw the contents of his vomit. He vomited blood. Oh my God! Before Sarah could finish her cry of horror, Jimmy jumped onto her, cutting to black and then fading back to Ed and Eddie, wandering around. I was surprised. I didn't expect Jimmy attacking his bestest friend in the whole world. Those drugs definitely made him into an animal. Eddie was very agitated. The two Eds probably didn't find Johnny. What the hell? Where the fuck is that moron? He cursed. Ed was nervous. Will Double D come out to play yet? He asked sadly. I don't know, Lumpy. He's probably doing some science stuff at his house, replied Eddie. Ed smiled. Is he making lemonade for smart people? He asked. Duh! All scientists drink chemicals, Eddie grumbled. As they left, Eddie looked nervous, feeling like something was wrong. Ed noticed this. Are you okay, Eddie? Ed asked. Eddie took a while to say something before responding with, yeah. It then faded to the inside of Rolf's shed. Rolf was eating one of his pigs, Wilfred. There was a white piece of meat with black spots on it. This must indicate that he ate a cow. Rolf wants more meat. Need more meat, he hissed. He then started walking into Johnny's house, his head down, wiping vomit and blood off of his mouth. I guess he threw up and went feral like Jimmy. He came back out dragging Johnny, who was holding Plank by the ear. Say, Rolf! Where are we going? Rolf didn't respond. Instead, he mumbled out, Rolf's hungry. Must eat. Gee, Plank! Rolf must have not eaten today, Johnny said to his inanimate wooden friend, completely unaware of their gory fate. They arrived at Naz's house, and Rolf knocked on the door. When Naz opened the door, she was surprised. Hi, guys. She paused when she saw, still with his head down, with tiny droplets of vomit dripping down his face. Dude? Why do you have vomit dripping from your mouth? Are you sick? She asked, concerned. Rolf finally lifted his head up, small bits of vomit covering his face. Rolf is fine. You must not worry. Rolf giggled. His left eye started twitching. He then suddenly vomited. But, unlike Jimmy, his vomit wasn't mixed with blood. Not yet. Now Naz was very concerned. She was afraid of what could have caused this. Oh my God! Are you okay, dude? We need to get you to the... Before Naz can finish her sentence, Rolf started shaking a little bit, on the urge of falling on the ground and becoming unconscious. Here, dude, you need sleep. Let me lay you down. You're definitely exhausted, Naz said in a reassuring tone. After lying Rolf down on her couch, Naz went over to Johnny and started asking him about if Rolf was acting like this before. As they were talking, it then switched to a first-person perspective from Rolf, his vision being all blurry. Suddenly he threw up green, yellow, and bloody vomit, with chunks of meat of his farm animals, with one of them looking like Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This made me laugh. Despite having tons of shocking moments in the movie, this was something that could have been seen in any parody. It snapped out of Rolf's perspective as Naz and Johnny, looked at Rolf in shock. "Oh my god! Dude, you puked up blood!" Naz shouted. "Holy cow! Look, Plank! Rolf's turning into a zombie!" Johnny was interrupted by Rolf jumping onto him, giggling. He started gouging out Johnny's eyes, causing him to scream in pain. Naz tried to pry him off of Johnny until he suddenly grabbed her by the head, then threw her at the wall, causing a huge crack to form at the spot where her head hit. The throw made her head start to drip little droplets of blood by the side of her head. She was starting to feel lightheaded. As Johnny started drawing out his last breaths, Rolf stabbed Plank through his neck, causing him to die quickly. Rolf then looked down at Naz.
"Apologies, Naz girl, but Rolf must take some munches from your head now."
He apologized. Looks like he actually has a little remorse. It then faded to Kevin riding his bike to Naz's house. "Man, where the hell is everyone? The only people out here are those dorks," he thought. As he got to the house, he noticed that the door was open. He was confused, feeling like something was wrong. Naz? You okay in there?" No response. He grew curious and stepped inside. When he stepped inside, he looked down and his face changed from a look of confusion to a look of shock. Right there was the corpse of Johnny, with Plank's upper half gouged inside his throat, the lower half inside his left eye socket. He stumbled back and started to have breath problems, only to be greeted with sudden chewing noises. He slowly walks into the bathroom, which was the sources of the noise. What he saw was Rolf eating Naz's brains, her scalp removed from the top of her head, and skull cracked open for the brain to be exposed. "Dude! What the fuck?" Kevin screamed. Rolf turned around to face Kevin.
"Hello, Kev boy."
"Dude, why the hell is... Why would you do all of this?" Kevin whimpered.
Rolf apologizes, bike-loving boy. Rolf discovered what the insides of the head taste like.
Rolf responded calmly while laughing, still chewing on the bloody brains. He stopped eating, and then started walking towards Kevin.
Please understand, Kev boy. Rolf is just... hungry.
"Get the fuck away from me! Get the fuck away!" Kevin screamed. The person who was voicing him had bills to pay. Rolf lunged towards him, causing him to scream, until it cut back to Ed and Eddie walking. Eddie was talking about how much the day was boring, and how they couldn't scam anyone. As he continues to talk, a hand came from the bushes and grabbed Ed, pulling him in. Eddie hears this, looks around, shrugs, and goes back to talking. After a few seconds, Eddie turned around, only to see nobody. "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Eddie roared. Eddie was enraged at this point and started heading for home. As he was walking back to his house, Jimmy crawled out of the bush Ed was taken in, covered in blood and guts. Well, that escalated quickly. Still giggling, he crawled all the way back to Naz's house, only to see Rolf eating from Kevin's stomach and the corpses.
Rolf!
He called out quietly. Rolf turned around, seeing Jimmy shivering, drool dripping down his face. Jimmy started crawling towards him, looking straight up like a demon. Rolf grabbed his left hand and quickly bit it off, causing Jimmy to giggle a little bit. despite the pain and blood pouring from the wound. Jimmy looked deeply into Rolf's eyes, which were full of bloodlust.
Shh, Fluffy Jim boy,
Rolf whispered.
just let this happen.
It finally cut to Ed, or Double D, walking around the cul-de-sac. His eyes were surrounded by black rings, and his gums were all black. Blood and vomit dripped from his mouth, hinting that he also took the drug. He heard chewing noises from one of the bushes, and when he looked inside, he was a bit surprised. Rolf was eating Jimmy's left leg. Both were laughing maniacally. All of Jimmy's limbs were torn off, his retainer destroyed, and mouth drooling with blood.
My,
Double D chuckled.
the drugs must have made you two very hungry, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy confirmed in a whispering tone.
Here,
Double D said softly, carrying Jimmy and grabbing Rolf's hand.
let's go back to Eddie's house.
As they got there, Double D noticed that Eddie was inside.
Perfect,
He said, possibly planning to kill him. He pulled out a shovel out of his pocket and opened the window, crawling inside and quietly walking towards Eddie from behind. Before Eddie could turn around, he felt a shovel hit his head before it quickly cut to black. It faded back in to show Eddie laying on his bed with a bruise on the back of his head. His eyes were fluttering a little bit before quickly shooting open when he saw the bodies of Kevin, Naz, Johnny, Sarah, and Ed. The Kanker sisters' headless corpses were there too, along with corpses of tons of OCs who some I don't even know. Eddie started breathing heavily, almost on the edge of having a mental breakdown.
What the fuck? What happened?
He cried out in horror.
He has woken up, Double D, Ed boy,
Rolf called out. Eddie was about to speak before a loud creak was heard. Footsteps could be heard as Double D came into the room and looked down at Eddie. A look of calmness spread across his face.
Sockhead? What the hell is this?
Eddie shouted. Double D was silent for 10 seconds before responding.
Well, Eddie,
Double D answered.
me, Rolf, and Jimmy just couldn't take your scams anymore. We couldn't take the bullshit from everyone else either. Your greediness, Ed's stupidity, Sarah's anger, Kevin's bullying, the Kanker sisters' sexual harassment, Johnny's delusions about Plank being alive, and Naz pulling literally everyone in the neighborhood. We deeply apologize, but this is for the greater good. You all should have known this was coming. Jimmy, you may come in now.
Jimmy then wheeled himself inside the room in a wheelchair, his wounds all bandaged up. Eddie's eyes widened to the fullest at Jimmy's conditions.
What the fuck happened to Fluffy?
He exclaimed.
Oh, about that. Rolf got a little bit hungry. I found them laughing when he was eating Jimmy's limbs. They look so cute.
Double D giggled.
How the hell is that cute?
Eddie yelled before Jimmy wheeled over to him with the same bloodlust Rolf had earlier.
May we start feasting on him now, Double D?
Jimmy asked, which caused Eddie to start sweating. Double D thought for a moment before responding with,
Why, of course, Jimmy. He's quite tubby, so he'll last about 1 to 2 hours.
Oh, fuck no! I'm out of here!
Eddie screamed. He tried running away until Rolf lunged towards him, with the Sabalua sound effect blaring out. Rolf pinned Eddie on the floor as Jimmy, he, and Ed loom above them, with crazed, hungry, and joyful looks plastered all over their faces. Well, gentlemen, time to eat, Double D said hungrily. Eddie then let out one final scream before the screen cut to black and started playing the credits. I gotta say, this was kind of really good. But the only problem I had was that Double D, Rolf, and Jimmy were a little bit out of character. Wouldn't it be better for someone who has a grudge against everyone to kill them all? It didn't really make sense. 8 out of 10. Could have been better. I'm gonna go on a search for Color Me Green 123 to tell them that a website stole their animation. Wish me luck. Update. I just got in contact with her. She's a girl. Via Instagram. And after I told her about the website and how it stole her animation, she literally had a mental breakdown, fearing about how the website might have found her IP address. I'm not going to show the messages for her safety since she's going through a hard time right now. She did tell me she had anxiety issues, so that's probably why she acted that way. Really sad. She deleted all her social media, which is sad, but understandable. If I got my animation stolen, I would have been freaking out too. Also, thank you all for listening to my story. I hope whoever owned that website gets a good kick in the ass. And that was Fall of an Ed, written by AngryGoober. Review time. For a zombie-related story, this was pretty good. I liked it. Usually, it was pretty decent. Usually when I read a story or watch a movie that involves zombies, I kind of tilt my head back a little bit and groan a little. Not just because there are some pretty bad examples of what a zombie story should be, like the original ending of Patrick's Diabetes. What was that? And some of the shit that Hollywood produces. Let's be real, most of them are the same thing over and over and over. They're like shark films. But here, this is like, it does it right. It has motivation. The characters act like how they're supposed to act. And one of the best parts about this movie is that the reason for its existence makes sense. It's just a fan animation made by someone, and when they were informed of this website stealing their animation, they had a rightfully fearful reaction and deleted their social media because they feared that they were going to get doxxed or their IP address was going to get leaked somewhere, maybe in the dark web. Especially considering how shady the website looked. Which was... Yeah, that was pretty good. I liked that addition. As for the animation itself, it was also quite fine to sit through. See, Double D's overall motive for why he does what he does in the context of a horror parody, it makes sense. Yes, he's going too far, but again, that's kind of the point here. It's Ed and Nettie. It's silly as is. Though, here it's being made out to have a more serious premise, a more serious tone. And that's okay. With Double D, I can tell that the reason why he chose Rolf and Jimmy for this experiment is because they had the most semblance of goodwill
compared to everyone else in the cul-de-sac, which definitely, well, made sense, especially considering the ending, where he literally says that he conducted this experiment to get rid of these people because he hated them so much. And yeah, that's a pretty interesting way of doing it. I like that. And not to mention, Rolf and Jimmy gave him their full permission on infecting them with this disease. And yeah, yeah, like, I like this story. I genuinely like it. But it doesn't, like, that doesn't mean it doesn't have its fair share of flaws. For example, one of them is that the prose can get pretty awkward. I know that this is a blog post written by someone that, like, kind of speaks in furry speak, like X3 colon 3 colon D. Haha, funny. I know. But, like, the way they describe the episode is coherent. Like, enough. And sometimes I had to pause and reread parts of the story because, like, for example, stuff like this thing right here. Where was it? Um, Here it is. I was looking for free episodes to watch on since I didn't have Max. The what? The TV? Was supposed to be it as in your computer? Like, what are you watching it on? And not to mention, some of the characters tend to state the obvious a little bit, like, "Oh my God, you puked up blood," right after the sentence that said they puked up blood. Like, stuff like that could be fixed up on. Always grammar check your work, and check your tone before you post the story. That's important. And another thing that didn't really make much sense to me is Double D. Why did he inject himself with the virus? Like, see, again, I get it. This is a fan animation for horror entertainment purposes, but if you watch the show, you'll find that Double D is kind of a humongous germaphobe. Like, I mean, it would make sense for him here to wear, like, doctor's gloves and, like, a lab coat or something like that so he doesn't infect himself. But he willingly does it and then goes out to eat Eddie along with Rolf and Jimmy, which I don't think he'd ever do that. Let's be real here. Double D would likely never do that, even as an antagonist like in this story. Though I did think it made sense for, say, Rolf to eat his animals first before he went on to eat others. Because he's very attached to those animals. He literally runs a farm. Something like that makes sense. It's subtle. But, like, with Double D infecting himself, that's very unlikely. I don't see that happening. And with all those flaws and positives being put into fruition, I'm going to give this story I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Not bad, but could be better. Could be fixed up on. Good job, Goober. Can't wait to see what else you come up with. Love me some Edda and Nettie stories. With that being said, this is simply my personal opinion. We all have our opinions regarding these pastas. What did you think of the pasta? What would you have done to improve upon it? And as always, I will see you all in the next narration. I love you all. Bless.